both sides.
And
We heard
Well,
about it for a while.
you know,
I would ask Doug Bassett to come up and be seated for Jack Mako, and John Ferrier to come up and be seated for Jean Julian, please.
I am sure you can have, you can have
Oh,
Oh, okay. Well, Roger has his name on that one, so.
If I gotta adjourn, I gotta say it.
You have to, you gotta do the adjournment.
Yeah.
You could be here all night.
So we have regular member Nancy Rivetto, myself, Cindy Rummel, and we have alternates Doug Bassett and John Ferrier. We have Dave Palmberg, our zoning enforcement officer, and Annie Gentile, our recording secretary. The second item on the agenda is to review the minutes of the April 28th, 2015 regular meeting.
I don't think we can, we don't have, just you and I,
Okay.
You don't have enough to vote on.
we only have to have three, right?
We were the only two who were here last time, so
Mm.
we will move that to the agenda for the next regular meeting. The third item on the agenda is discussion and possible action site plan modification application submitted by applicant Real Estate Diagnostics. Do we have? Ink, I'm sorry.
Otherwise it'll be just red, and I'm not red.
Oh,
Yeah,
goodness,
with
that's
your-
a big mess.
With your permission, I'm gonna give you a big map.
I cannot see these.
I fawned over these to
I'm
that
sorry,
day
could
and
you
I.
just state your name for?
Yeah, for the record, Guy Hesketh, F.A. Hesketh and Associates. I'm a professional engineer. Our offices are in East Granby, Connecticut. I'll give you the cards too. Yeah, the reason we're here tonight
Didn't you get it?
is to discuss a modification to, actually it was a site plan that was approved as part of a special use permit last year, I believe it was. And at that time, Gardner Peterson was working with Harvey. Yeah, the two sets. He was working with Harvey on the application, and subsequent to that, we were hired by his outfit to complete the plans. And what we did for Real Estate Diagnostics is we put together the plan that was approved as part of the special use permit. We took that and we made application to the Connecticut Housing Authority. And this was the site plan set that went in there, which basically was identical to what was approved as part of the special use permit, with the exception of, we moved 3 units. On the original plan, 3 units were located here along the railroad. We moved one of the units up here and then 2 of the other units over here. So we modified and took houses, there were 3 houses, or 3 duplexes here, we put one there, and then we moved 2 over here. And the reason for that was, Mr. Edelstein had some concerns with the proximity to the railroad and people living there, and he wanted to make it a little bit more comfortable, so we kind of moved him a little bit away from the railroad. So that's essentially the plan. The long end of, or the short end of the story is that subsequent to the approval, they had to go through some regulatory reviews to get approvals from the state. That happened, and I believe it was in the middle of March that approval was granted for that. So we were hired to take these plans that were done as part of the special use permit and create construction drawings, which we're in the process of doing right now. Those plans have not been finished yet because we just started them about a month ago. And we're about 2 weeks away from having a final set for those, which we will submit those to staff for review. But what the concern was is, due to the construction schedule and trying to get the project started, we wanted to be able to go in and start doing, set up the sedimentation erosion control and start doing some site clearing. And in order to do that, staff reviewed these and said, well, since you made a slight modification to the plan, just run that by the commission and let them know that we've done that. Because in their opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, was that the approvals from both planning and zoning and wetlands are still valid under this, because we made a slight modification to that. So we wanted to present that to you with the provision that once those are done, then we could start doing our sedimentation erosion control. And if you turn to this third page, this shows the buildings were located here. They removed one here and one over in this area. So that's the only thing that really changed out here.
almost
I'm
eliminated.
sorry, you said, was it this one, or this?
Yeah, this unit was over here, and then these two units were here.
So these two
These-
these two are.
That seems the smartest thing to do, because it was really close to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I felt about it,
Yep.
And,
you know,
How
that's
many
so.
units in this it's a phase, right?
79 total units.
79, is this
For this
just the
phase.
first phase?
With it, the
Yeah,
first
that'll
phase,
explain that, and that's apparently what the special use permit was granted for the first phase.
Right, and so it's still the 79.
Yeah, let me show you while we're talking about that, and, I don't wanna digress too much, but let me show you, because this is gonna be the subject of another application that we're planning on coming here fairly quickly with. This is the overall plan that shows the plaza. You can see that the big Y is located here. I'm sorry, the big Y is here.
The solar collector.
This is the new
That,
solar
I was
array.
wondering how you were gonna
Yeah, we-
incorporate that.
And then, this is the phase one that you're looking at right now,
Mhm.
with the buildings that have been relocated. And interesting, if you turn back to the second page on this, the plan was approved that showed a driveway that comes out to West Stafford Road.
Mhm.
And the driveway to West Stafford Road was put in here prior to thinking about maybe what are some potential future development for commercial development out here along Route 190. So Big Y had us take a look independent of, working with Mr. Edelstein, at what are some potentials for developing an out parcel out front. So this master plan that we put together is gonna show, some buildings along this parcel here. Possibly in the area next to the bank and the liquor store, there's sort of an empty field here. That will probably be merged with this lot here.
They're pods now, is that the area that you're referring to, where they had the sign pods?
Pad sites.
Pad sites.
Pad, is
Yeah,
that it?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's up in here, yeah. There's some signs up here, and I think maybe one down there.
pad, and
So
they
you
had
moved the
cleared
road
it.
further west, didn't you?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we kept the touchdown point, because this is really the place to have the road because of the site distances we have on Route 190, so that stayed the same.
Right.
But, yeah, what we're showing here,
That's Bradley.
yeah,
But,
yeah, that's the old driveway. But the plan was originally approved with this. So we actually are gonna locate the road there, but we're gonna put a little bit more of an S curve in it, so we can, yeah, we can take advantage of, trying to maximize this portion.
That's the road by the houses, no,
No.
you were
No.
going
No.
to use that road,
Yeah.
oh, and now you're changing.
No,
We
no,
gave
it
it-
was,
gave it up before you were involved. We were trying to get in
Right,
here, because there is actually
an easement through.
an
there.
easement, Big Y has an easement, but
Correct.
the owners of this property built on the easement and refused to even have a conversation with us.
oh,
Big
And
Y.
so, you know, from my perspective, I don't wanna push anybody around, so
And this works just.
Right.
move the other way.
'cause that's
It's a better
Bradley
line of
Road.
sight.
Well, now, so is, where's the main entrance now?
The main entrance is over here. so-
What are they gonna do?
Oh, okay, so
This is
I
where the
see,
light is and there's
alright,
no down.
because I'm really opposed to the main entrance for the senior.
Yeah, we're gonna
So
have
I'm
this,
glad of
this will be
Well,
really,
it's-
really,
So
Yeah.
it's right before Castagrande's place.
yeah, it's right in the middle. It used to
Once
be
you
two houses
pass
over
this
here.
point, you don't know that there's any supermarket or anything.
Oh,
You
I
don't
know,
that
oh,
anything-
I
This
know.
one's 100% good, talk to that.
Well, I got an ear infection, honey, and this one's not working,
50%,
so.
yeah.
Hey, you and I are a tree team tonight, let me tell you. That's why I'm like this.
But when you get in here, it's beautiful, I mean, and it's gonna be even more beautiful, so we're gonna level it out at less than, or at a 5 pitch, so it's ADA compliant,
Mhm.
people can walk. There, you don't see it very well, but there'll be a walkway all the way to the shopping center from every unit.
Where did you cut the acres off? When you went
Oh, yeah,
from
that's,
43 to 40?
then, the original plan had, let me show you on the master, on the title sheet.
43.
Yeah, the original plan had the property coming all the way up to here in this area. And that was, the old line was here.
Yeah, it was a mistake.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah, it's interesting what happened originally, because you know that Connecticut Water's gonna bring water service up here. This tank, underground tank here, is actually a fire water tank with a big Y. So the idea was that they thought that the water was gonna be brought up here before all this was done, and then this would be abandoned. But with the schedule now, it looks like this has to stay in while this land deal is being made. So they have to carve this piece out of there.
And it
Big Y.
can't hurt to have it.
So we're gonna just move the line so that the line
Just in
actually gets
case.
moved to this, right over here in this
Show
area.
it to me.
Yeah, I've got a question after you go, go ahead.
Where's the line on there?
right here.
Okay, I see, it's in the trees.
Yeah, so it's,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right there.
basically we're coming like this. Okay. And then this get cleaned up a little bit over here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it takes a
Okay,
different line to.
so are you proposing to go all the way out to Orchardville Road with a new road?
Well, let me talk about phase two.
Okay,
Phase two, and this is, again, what we're gonna come to this commission for later on is for, I think you guys.
It's conceptual master, or master concept plan of development, which is in our regulations, and it's encouraged the applicants that come in, they're not held to any part
discussion.
of that, right, it's basically, it's a formal concept
Yeah.
presentation, and then final details are
Right,
approved
it's just
separately
an
later.
open discussion.
Right.
And it's interesting, and the reason a lot of towns have that, and the reason we need to go through that process is, are you familiar with the State Traffic Commission? You call it the State Traffic Commission? It's now called the Office of State Traffic Administration, OSTA. OSTA, this plaza when it was built was prior to OSTA, prior to the STC, so there's never been a certificate issued for it. And it's considered a major traffic generator. So what we wanna do is go to OSTA one time to get a permit for all the development. The only way they will give us a permit or certificate for this site is we have to have something approved by the town, which is called a concept master plan or a master plan of development. And what that entails is, this commission has to give some direction as to what they would, they're not necessarily approving it for construction or anything, but they're giving an approval that gives the STC or the OSTA some information that will allow them to certify the site. And what we're gonna ask for a master plan is, we're gonna figure out what the total square footage of all of the potential development for the future is on these out parcels, plus phase one and phase two of this development.
It will look different from
Yeah,
that.
it'll look different, but the OSTA gives us a number and they'll say, okay, we're gonna certify you for 735 parking spaces and so many thousand square feet of retail and so many units of residential. And then, based on that, we do a traffic study and they'll tell us they want a left-hand turn lane here, and they'll say they want us to revise the signal or something, some condition for that. Once that's issued, then OSTA will certify the site. So we're gonna need a certification for the site to be able to do all this. We only wanna do it once before this. 'Cause it's a bloodline
And they
process.
can't initiate that unless having that conceptual, that master plan
Okay.
of development.
So they could say, they're saying, so many units and parking space and all of that. What if that does not agree with our regulations? Is that all right?
Oh, it has to, no, because whatever we propose would have to be in conformance with your regulations.
First you go with our regs and then you go, okay, I
Yeah.
thought it was vice versa.
It's the
only- No, no, no,
That
no.
doesn't sound correct.
No,
So
Okay.
we're
that's the only way
we'll
to
do
do
a
it.
zoning analysis
No,
and
you
say,
can't approve a concept of something that doesn't meet your regulations.
Right, that's what I was concerned when you said that they would tell you this, this, and this, well,
That would
that's why
violate
we
the
tell you
cardinal
first.
rule.
and, yeah, and it's
No, we
basically,
don't do that.
it's a direction that, it's a master plan that we're looking for, so that the town says, we like this, and one of your conditions will be, you cannot do any construction until you come back for a real site plan
Site
approval
plan
for each
approval.
phase that you're looking for. So that protects you, and it doesn't allow us to build it, but it gives
But
us
allows
some
them to
direction.
proceed with it.
Proceed, yeah.
Have you gotta have that before you can go ahead?
Yeah,
That's gotta
No.
get approval
No,
here?
no, because this was under affordable housing.
8-30
statute,
is,
so that's exempt from a lot of the regulations. But what we need it for is for whatever we're gonna do in the future for Big Y, and we wanna do everything all around.
Doug, that's not tonight. Tonight, we're just talking about the modification.
Yeah, I'm just trying to inform you where we're going with this, and to be kind of
I'm
fast.
just curious, you
Yeah.
gotta come back and get everything.
So
Oh, he's gonna be
is the
back
housing-
several times. You're gonna know.
the Big Y will still own this, not the housing authority.
That's
is what
correct.
you're saying.
Yeah, this will be separately parceled out, this piece here will be separate.
We will build the road, when I say
You'll
we, I'm
build
speaking
the
for the
housing-
housing authority.
Okay, we'll build the road,
And I are partners. We will build the road, but we will turn over maintenance and, care of that road to the Big Y, because it's, that complex. From here on will be our responsibility, okay?
I was
You
wondering
mean
about
for
the
plowing
amount of
and everything?
traffic with
Huh?
all of
Plowing
these
and everything?
businesses into the.
Unless you wanna
that's
make
what
it
the
town
city's
road.
gonna look at.
Doesn't fall back on the town.
Onto the new,
Okay.
the
No.
new road.
Take
The
that.
Yeah,
new
this,
road,
yeah,
yeah.
and
Well,
nobody
that's
really
gonna
knows.
be part of their
It's gonna-
traffic study.
Yeah,
Yeah,
generate
we
a lot
have
of
half
traffic.
a traffic study done.
Yeah, we got it right here. There was one, One was done in 2013.
But these-
But that
these
didn't,
are-
that didn't include that, that was just for the housing.
No, that was just for the housing
And
authority.
again, those are
We-
fictitious more than anything.
What's this, I can't read.
That's a parking area.
That's the parking, so it's just really a total of 5 buildings.
And
That
it
could
may
be
not even
retail.
be, yeah, I mean, it could be retail, could be a restaurant, you know, but probably
Oh, I
a
hope.
bank or something like that up here, that's typically what goes in these things.
Yeah,
And, you know, it won't be, Big Y has certain restrictions on what they allow as far as.
and this is still Big Y land. That's Big Y land, that's
Yeah,
not the housing
that's
authority.
a
It'll be an
big one.
Applebee's.
Yeah,
Applebee's would be, no Friendlies, I love
Couldn't be
Friendlies,
Wouldn't
get
that be
an ice
nice?
cream, yeah.
You're shutting down.
I mean,
Okay,
so-
well, that
So anyway,
answered my
that's kind of where we're
question,
headed, so the application tonight is basically for the site plan revision to allow this change here. And then I guess there's a discussion on sending erosion control. What we're looking for is we just wanna get kind of a nod from the commission so that we can, staff can issue, a permit for the construction of the erosion control and then to start the site clearing. And then, we will be back to staff with the detailed plans, which are
the full
basically,
team.
yeah, which is one step level higher than this. And those plans have to be reviewed by water pollution control for the sanitary sewer that's going in. Engineering will look at it from the stormwater management perspective, so I think that's, you know, certainly if this commission wants to see any of those detailed plans, we can certainly make that presentation.
And we'll be connecting to the water, we're bringing the water from the Dunkin' Donut right to the new road. So everybody along that road, that piece of half a mile road, will have a benefit, if you will.
From Dunkin' Donuts?
They're half a mile away.
Yeah.
No, the movement of these buildings doesn't create any issue in side yards, right? It
No,
doesn't
no.
appear to, so
They're not within any upland review areas for wetlands, there's no issues with regards to side yard. I did in my, report, have a few, considerations for you for conditions of approval.
I see that.
One of which, as he said, they're finalizing the construction, plans. And part of that is, WPCA is in the process of developing new standards and regulations, which we discussed at previous meetings. Trying to have these plans conform to these upcoming, they're not approved yet, but upcoming regulations from WPCA's standpoint, what their concerns are. And also, you know, we're talking about initiating the construction, which is going in and clearing, or you're clearing about 15, 20 acres.
No, it's 11 acres.
11 acres. So clearing 11 acres, establishing erosion controls, and then clearing 11 acres so they can start moving the dirt around to shape it for what it's going to be. I think it's appropriate to ask for a erosion control bond, and I have an amount of $25,000 for that. That's just, should something happen and the project stalls out or something, we have money in place to stabilize the areas.
Not a problem.
And then my only other comment, which is standard, but I want to get it in on the first shot here, is a final as-built of each phase, as the phase is completed, just so for future generations to maintain the site, you have accurate.
We haven't, the way that this project gets funded is, I've
We
explained.
probably have to provide them anyway, so.
We have to do ALTA surveys every,
For every unit.
every inch of anything. Has to be, you know, certified in space.
And I, you know, the only other thing I would add to this probably is maybe a quick informal presentation once those construction plans are finalized, if there's.
Within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick, if, you know, we can add it, possibly add it under new business if we have to, if we have enough time to put it on the agenda. Just to, so everybody, and especially the members that aren't here tonight, can see the detail of the construction plans.
Yeah,
That's all.
absolutely.
Oh,
So we're missing a bunch tonight.
So Dave, I mean, it makes sense to me, as I said to Nancy, I live next to a railroad. I would wanna move as far away from it as I could, but, I mean, did you see any issues at all with it? I mean, it
No, I
makes sense.
think it's a smart move to try to avoid a potential future problem or complaint. And this is somewhat of a technicality that they have to come back in,
Right.
but it's all part of the process, so that so that we're aware of these changes, you know, of what was approved in 2013.
Also, at this point, this is an eminently happening thing. I've raised from the various sources, and the investors all are ready to go. We're a couple of weeks away from finished 100% drawings and specs. We have local contractors working on this. The site work will be bid by 2 local contractors that lived here for generations. The electrical contractors lived here for generations. And as we let out the other prime subs, we'll be searching for local. So at least this $20 million circulates in the town and benefits the town. We can't finish on time unless we start very quickly, and it may be a little bit faster than deep-pocketed projects can move, because this is as much a non-profit venture as it can be. And so, in order to really get started, we have to start the beginning of July to get the site ready so we can start pouring foundations. If you've seen the Summers Housing Authority that I've built, you have an idea of what it's gonna be like. It's gonna be like that, only more trees, closer, and more rolling terrain, more park-like. If we start in July 1st, we'll be able to have enough room to begin putting in slabs in August, maybe toward the end of August. And the way that we build these is panel construction. We've been building panel construction for the last 15, 20 years now. And it's being built in a factory. And it's being delivered in flat panels, like the IKEA of housing, if you will. And when they come, they go up very fast. The weather doesn't slow us down. We wait for an opening. We should have some buildings up and be working inside throughout the winter. So we're gonna be creating a lot of jobs, and it's going to take, in this phase, approximately 2 years from start to occupancy. In the meantime, I'll be working on putting together the development for the second phase, and hopefully we keep those guys working.
That sounds great.
One question, along the railroad tracks, are you planning any type of a buffer?
We have a lot of Volkswagen-sized rocks, and we're gonna utilize them as a barrier.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Much of it's natural barrier because of the cliffs and stuff like that.
Okay.
And in some areas where we have the accessibility, we're gonna take some of the rocks and put them on the edge of the woods and stuff.
Now, the original site plan had like, walkways past
Oh, yeah,
sidewalks to the
still do.
plaza. Do you still do? I just don't see them on the
Yeah,
list.
it's on
the color one, it's easier.
I don't see them.
Well, I'll tell you what,
That's
it's
okay,
just
that's
as
right.
easy, isn't it just as easy to see it on this, or it's
Yeah.
I
a
just
lower
didn't-
version?
Yeah, it's still on there.
Yeah,
I just wanted to ensure that because I'm
I want to ensure
sending a
that too.
letter to the governor thanking him for their help in this project, and I said walkways to the plaza, they better be there.
There's a sidewalk that starts from here, comes down along the edge of the road, you can see it here, comes down, comes all the way along, and it ties
And
in.
it ties into
So-
the road going
And
down,
then up around this.
every unit,
Oh, I
up
believe
through
you, you
here,
said,
and it's less than 5 pitch,
yeah,
so
that was my biggie when you first came before us.
every unit is age in place,
Uh-huh.
accessible, either an A-type, meaning fully accessible,
Right,
or convertible, B-type,
yeah.
so that all you do is take the panel out from the sink, from the kitchen sink, and you have
You're
roll in.
handicapped.
The same thing with the bathroom, no tubs, they're all walk-in showers. I could keep going, but
No, you
No,
did that before, I just
you got
didn't
it.
see the sidewalks, that's all.
I'm very happy to be here.
We actually
You know how many
bumped
of
them up
these
a
get
little.
this long?
On the original plan, they were
Not a lot.
4-foot walks, we made them 5-foot walks.
Super,
So you can go
Once
by
they can
each
go
other.
around.
very good,
They said race.
very good.
Scooter races.
Yeah, we've got that
Golf
chicane out
carts.
by the.
And they're
the roads.
concrete, they're not, they're real.
If appropriate, I'd like to make the motion. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the site plan modification application submitted by Real Estate Diagnostics Incorporated to modify the previously approved site plan under special permit to reflect repositioning of 3 duplex units owner Big Y Foods, location West Stafford Road, map 36, lot number 80, zone HB, with the following conditions for approval. Number one, an erosion control bond in the amount of $25,000. Number two, WPCA approval of the sanitary sewer layout and components. And number three, that they file Mylars of the final as-built survey depicting all units, improvements, utilities, and topography be filed in the land records for each phase.
Second that.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Mylars, really? Wow.
Town
When I went to architecture school, we actually drew on those Mylars.
Quickly before you go, where is the sidewalk again? I hear you,
I
but
couldn't
I
find
don't
the
see
name of
it.
the sidewalk.
Is this it?
I'm gonna let you do it. This is the parking,
Yeah.
the 3 parking spaces in front.
Oh, I
This is the walkway. We continued it, it doesn't show it continued.
Okay, that's
Okay.
That's gonna be.
Right.
Okay,
It's gonna go out to the street.
okay.
I did,
The
I
low
didn't
traffic
read
here,
it.
this was rated at
Oh,
2%.
it's crazy.
I can come down here.
You
So,
should
I mean,
have,
you can
yeah.
turn around, but also
Isn't it-
dumpsters at that end too.
Can a wheelchair go all the way down to BY?
Yeah, no more than 5%.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, it's just either.
That means moving a lot of stuff if you've been up on that site.
We actually, this doesn't show it on this
It
plan.
is more than there.
What's it got to do with Avery Park?
Forgot to do a lot of things.
That predated a lot of regs too.
The difference between these and Avery Park is you'll be able to
Oh,
keep
for the
them
big one here, when our sidewalk.
literally.
comes
If
down.
Oh,
people
and
that
the
in
mold up
summer
there and the hill,
pay less than $100 a month average for all utilities.
it's going to electric.
So what are we, what are we using
In
for?
those plans, we had to put a lot more detail.
Well,
into it.
these are gonna have, collectors on them,
Yeah.
150
You wanna
watt.
hold on to this for the record?
Oh, that's $1.
Sure, I'll.
200,000.
Are they the same?
They're expensive, but
What you gave me
they're gonna
the other day?
Yeah,
provide,
yeah. You don't need
it's
to-
all LED.
Yeah,
Heat is,
I'll
on demand,
take it. Got it.
hydro, air,
Somebody's gonna ask me.
Somebody,
Very.
somebody.
super efficient.
Print it.
So you're racing off to
And
work?
all air conditioning.
9:30.
Oh, nice.
And it's very,
They just talked to you, it's all.
I've been using the same unit for quite some time.
All right.
Comes on when it's
Yes, I
needed.
told them, I said, stay.
Hot water and domestic hot water and heat in the same on demand.
But I
they
do,
like the smart heat pumps, is that what you're?
Yes, exactly right.
I do want to thank you for all your hard work with the state too to get that grant through.
Thank you.
That's
It
why-
was close.
Oh, I know, Dickie
This is the
Dobson
third
worked
time
so
around.
hard. Yep, I
Yeah.
know.
Well
But we
done.
made it. You know why? Nancy Wyman.
Nancy has been our angel.
Yeah, I'm sending her a letter of
How can
thanks.
she live next door and not, and knowing that she has the same problems
Oh, yeah,
that all of the rural communities around here have?
absolutely, so, yes, thank
And
you.
I have a place on the porch, you know, with a rocking chair waiting for me.
All right, my sister too, she wants to
Let's see if we
go.
can get you in.
Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, we may not get you in.
Yeah, it's gonna be so popular, we don't know.
Before you go, the building in Summers, is that right next to the post office?
Yeah.
Those buildings?
Across the street.
Across the street,
Okay,
diagonal
yeah,
across the
okay.
street,
Yeah.
there's a sign says Woodcrest, nothing else.
Okay.
Just Woodcrest.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right,
Now,
thanks.
we're gonna be back, are you guys gonna be able to go fast enough to get us a building permit in 4 weeks?
I'll talk to the building inspector.
Different department.
Yep.
I have to talk gently to them.
Yes. Yes, that helps.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you
night.
so much.
All right, item number 4 on the agenda, discussion and possible action review of zoning regulations.
There hasn't really been any new developments on this. I did speak with Tracy, and she's not been able to do, she hasn't been able to do adequate
Mhm.
review. Things have been a little hectic with all this stuff going on.
Yes, yeah.
And there's really been no developments on either.
And the solar regulations, the
This-
same, we're still
Yes,
waiting.
I am hounding, I am hounding Dennis to hound the attorney, but, it's the same attorney involved with the geothermal and solar contract, which are just firing up right now, so they're preoccupied with those petty things.
Wait, which law firm is it that's,
That is,
it's one of the bigger firms in
Yes.
Hartford, right?
yes, it's not.
Goodwin and something,
Shipman and Goodwin?
Shipman and Goodwin,
Shipman and Goodwin.
yeah.
But they ought to be able to find an associate who can look at the
Yeah,
solar regs
yeah,
for us.
that's well,
They've got.
I mean-
I would think
terms.
that or find another attorney.
well.
This is ridiculous.
Well, it's, the attorney they have is their point of contact, and I can't just pick up the phone and call their
Right.
office and say, so we're trying to go through that point of contact.
Mhm.
But every time that I remind Dennis to pursue it, you know, something comes up with one of these other these things are so fluid with the utility project, the
Right.
housing project, and that he's been somewhat sidetracked. But I emailed him several times and asked him again today about
Yeah.
calling and asking. I'll
We may
push
wanna
harder.
say
Well, I
those-
said, let's just approve it, if there's a problem.
We'll find
So,
out after.
I mean, yeah, that's what I may end up doing. I do have to refer it to CROG. But, you know,
I would refer it to CROG and then we'll take it
because
on.
CROG would come up with any, you know, conflict from their
Yes.
planning side. So, and quite frankly, you know, a lot of that was taken from other towns,
Right.
so I don't anticipate.
And
Yeah,
our
there's nothing-
solar specialists went through the whole
And
regulation.
there's
Yeah,
nothing
the Energy
particularly
Committee went through it,
controversial,
yeah.
so.
Right.
I mean, that was a recommendation, so if that doesn't happen, say by the next meeting, if we don't have an answer, then I'll make the referral to CROG and I'll stop
Oh, I
asking.
think that's good, yeah, that's good.
Because that, quite frankly, it's December, so we've been waiting since
Mhm.
Right,
December.
right. Either that, or if you or Dennis are on the phone with, even with our point of contact, I mean, you may just wanna suggest they might have an associate who could take a quick look, you know, they've got.
They must, they're a huge
But,
Yeah.
law firm.
and if they don't, I think I'd like your suggestion, go forward and refer it to CROG and get
Good-
moving
good
on this,
idea.
so we can get these adopted this year.
Okay, architectural requirements, that's been on hold too, what?
Right, well, Tracy
Delbert.
Tracy Hildebrecht was going to review that package from Mendon, and, she has not completed that.
Did she see what I had written?
Yes, that was.
And she's reviewing that?
She's reviewing
Oh,
that.
good,
She's,
good.
but it's that time of year for design professionals that they're, you know, very busy, and,
Oh.
she's nice enough to do it, and I understand it's not a paying job for it.
Yeah.
But, so, you know, I'm having some patience there.
Yes,
But again,
definitely.
I think what I'm going to start doing, in the meantime, is customizing that to Stafford, and we'll treat it the same way as far as an appendix to the regulations.
Well,
but
as you
as-
can see, we may have even 5 new retail or something.
Right.
I mean, coming
Right.
very quickly, and this
Right.
is just being too slow, it's
Well,
been over a
those,
year.
that booklet for Mendon is just for their, village district
Right.
overlay zone.
That's why I wrote it from that, yeah.
Right, but, one of the things we've been discussing is, the delineation of this village district, if we're gonna call it that, or whatever we wanna call it, or we're gonna have multiple districts, and I had handed out zoning maps, 11 by 17 zoning maps, for you guys to give some consideration as far as, you know, where a zoning overlay district, you know, I don't know if we're gonna have more than one, or what, and we had mentioned, you know, the potential new roundabout by Shells would almost be a reference point, a gateway point, coming into where we have commercial developments, or maybe we have a commercial overlay zone, and then when you get to 32, it becomes a village district zone, you know, all the way to, I don't know, Route 19, whatever the commission
Well,
desires.
that's kind of what, even after I wrote it and I've been thinking about it, I said, it probably should go up 19 to the Mass line, the village, and down
Well, I don't
through
know
Main
how much,
Street.
that's not
you
necessarily,
have
if you
the
look on there, it's not
school.
necessarily zoned for business.
Right, that's
That's
mostly
more residential.
That is correct. But at what point, there's a lot of land up there too that could be for sale, that,
But it's residentially zoned, they would
Right.
have to get a zone change.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to look at putting the village overlay district. I think, actually, I like your suggestion from 19 up over to 32. And then Stafford Hollow, maybe to Penny School Road.
yeah, East Street, Furnace Avenue, Cause we have businesses on Furnace Avenue.
No, I wouldn't go down to Furnace Avenue.
Well, you
I
have
think
Warren
Stafford-
Mill and all of them on Furnace Avenue.
But that would be, oh, you're talking about from downtown, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
mhm,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
from
I'm
downtown.
sorry, yeah.
Main Street,
Yeah, we
up
would go
to,
up, maybe up,
up to Shells, and then we're gonna do it different for that 190 corridor.
Right.
Not up to Shells, up to the, gas station.
so you may have two sets of architectural standards,
Right.
whereas, you know, the village, let's call it village for the sake of argument, would be, you know, more restrictive as far as more, you know,
New England,
more New
traditional
England, right,
New
the
England
traditional,
style.
like what's outlined in that
Right.
appendix, and whereas the other commercial zone would still have, be similar to what we presently have, but just modified, in regards to things that have disappointed various commission members, since those were
Well,
adopted.
yeah, like the mechanicals.
Right, the
you know, on the
mechanicals
road.
and
I mean, a
then,
parapet
and
is
the
nothing.
type of,
You know.
the mechanicals and the type of
Materials.
exterior material,
materials.
materials.
Colors.
And like I had said, that we had discussed with Dennis, the grading trade, I haven't found it being done, and I'm not capable of initiating
The
that.
only way, and I think we discussed this before, that we could do the grading and trade or give and take
As
is if
part of
you
the
do
special
it
use.
as a special use
Right.
permit, and then we have the latitude
Right.
to be able to say,
Right.
well, you know, oh, this looks nice, but it really doesn't follow to the T, so we can make an exception because it's a special use.
Right, and
I
I think we
think
just
we
handle
really
it
should
that
be
way,
special
keep
use
it much
permit.
simpler instead of trying to,
Right,
um,
I agree,
What?
because commission members change too.
right. So the things we need to nail down is the delineation of those two districts.
I
And then,
think we've
and
kind of
then-
done it, yeah.
and the criteria for each,
So,
No.
The
so we
one
said
question on the
commercial
village-
overlay and village district overlay.
Yeah, the one question I have on the village district, because I know the plan of conservation and development
yeah.
also suggested, I think the center of West Stafford, is we
Yes.
should talk about whether it makes sense, and it would be, I think, just a very limited area around that intersection of
church.
190 and 30 there.
I think the
But
church,
that's something we should talk about,
we changed part of that zone to, under John Julian, remember, Dave? We changed part of that zone over there by the, water company and I think we changed it to industrial, if my memory is correct.
are you talking about the center of West
the
Stafford?
Guerra property, yeah.
No, I'm talking about by the West Stafford Church, over that way.
There is a local business zone,
Local business,
yeah, from, basically,
I can't.
where
read it.
Leonard's, from Route 30 to, I think that's that schoolhouse road.
I thought it was
But
to.
the top of the hill before the,
Right, before
roughly
the
the
school.
elementary school
Yeah.
to Route 30
To Route 30.
is, local business.
I remember changing that.
I think we should consider the village district for that area also.
So we would change, it's just an overlay,
It's
we're
an
not
overlay.
changing the zone,
Right.
it's just an overlay. I think you're right, Cindy, yeah, because you got a pretty church and
And
very
there's some
old
old houses,
yeah.
right?
Well, so we're saying, what are we saying? From 32, Route 32, going east to 19
I
up
think
here,
so, yes.
and Furnace Ave up to first intersection or
Hollow,
Street.
East Street, it should go up to, Mill Pond, whatever that intersection you wanna call that.
all
No,
the,
we're talking about Furnace Avenue from here.
Oh,
How far to
I
High
mean,
Street or?
we have American Wool in there, and then it gets up, it gets residential with condos,
It's all
and there's no
residential.
reason to have it up.
So
well,
maybe
what's
the
that,
South
side.
that's
The
not
Silver
High
Street.
Street or Church?
Silver
Yeah.
Street.
Huh,
Yeah,
Silver,
To Silver
Silver
Street,
Street,
yeah.
Yeah. To Silver Street,
yeah,
Yeah.
so Furnace Ave up to Silver Street.
to Main,
How about Wellington Avenue over here?
Right now, that's local law, we have to change, that's the other zone change to that
Oh,
got
that's right,
changed
right.
on here.
Doesn't, Doesn't the mill go past Silver Street? Did we do that?
That's what I have to take a look at.
Well,
What I wanna do is, I'm gonna mark this up based on this
Yeah,
discussion.
you're right,
And then I'm
John.
gonna also, I'm gonna
Great
check
building.
it against the plan of conservation and development to make sure that we're
Mhm.
following what was outlined there, which I believe we are.
And the next street would be Edgewood, I think, if we had to go to the next street beyond Silver.
Edgewood would
Yeah,
go
but
up,
it's all-
that's
it's
really
all
residential.
It's
It
all,
is.
as soon as you
Yeah.
get past the builder.
Right, so Route 32 to 19, then Furnace Ave up to whatever, where the residential, primary residential begins. What about anything on East Street at all at this end? Route 19?
Well, you have the hospital, but that's
That's all
apartments.
residential, I don't
That's
think.
all
that-
That's all
so,
residential.
okay.
But I want to encompass the hollow somehow.
Right, well, we have I have the outline of that historic district for the hollow, which we can use that for starters,
Okay,
so.
and you don't think beyond, no, really, it's the park and we have like a package store and a garage there, but that's about it for business. Oh, Milk, Munspo.
mhm.
I
I
don't
think,
know.
wouldn't
I
go
think,
that far.
I think you
I'm
keep
thinking
it as,
Penny School.
Pardon?
I'm thinking Penny School Road.
That's,
you
that's
go-
at Mill Pond too,
Right.
before it.
now,
Yeah, before it.
with the road just before Mill Pond too.
Well, that is, you think we should go a little further,
Well, there may be a future fire station up there at some point in
Yes.
time, so
yeah.
keep that in mind.
So Cindy, what do you think? I'm trying to encompass like Mill Pond too, then you have that old gas station that Pishotas, you have the package store, you have
Yeah,
Munspo.
but I mean,
Pineville
how
Mill.
much New England character is there in the Maple Tire building and the package store?
But I mean, if somebody wants to purchase them and rebuild them, that's what I'm thinking. Well, food for thought, we don't have
Yes.
to
Yeah.
Yeah.
decide
So,
tonight.
so what I'll try to do is outline probably something just overlaid on this for discussion
Mhm.
purposes, and then consolidate the guidelines for, or at least start a list for each, and we can.
I think we really can get going, and Tracy Corcelabrick will be a huge,
Yeah, I mean, her
Asset.
word isn't the final say on it,
no,
not
but I
either,
think
it's
it'll
just.
be an asset
that's
to
right.
us, yeah,
Right.
definitely.
But I think we're pretty much all in agreement on the concepts of what we want the village
Right.
district, so we can move towards, as
Mhm.
Dave said, the delineation and,
Yep, definitely. I know we just don't want cement block buildings for retail in the commercial,
in the village.
in the commercial overlay. The different materials, so we can work on materials and we can't work on signs, but we can do lighting. We can do lighting, color, roofing, materials, special use permit, I think, would give us the
Well,
latitude
that's-
to
yeah,
work
that's-
with a developer.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's already within our regulations, those particular uses over certain square footages is special use.
Special use permit, right,
So,
right.
so that's already in place. I think what it's gonna come down to is, we have these two overlay districts. This overlay district, you have to adhere to these architectural standards or guidelines, and this district is this other separate list. That's really all we're not, the uses and everything else aren't gonna change.
No,
It's
it's
just-
gonna be the design for
Right.
you.
Right, and one other thing, it may be, it'll probably be for both, is, pedestrian considerations as well, not just architectural, but, pedestrian, considerations like walkways and proximity of buildings and,
Yep. And a bike paths we talked about too, or no?
Not yet, that's in the plan. Actually,
That's in the plan of conservation,
yeah, I'm working on a lot of different things, and one of the other, projects, which I don't wanna go out of order here, we're not under new business yet. Well, I'll throw it out there, is looking at a grant for, what I'm calling a fitness trail along Leventhal Run.
Oh, wonderful.
But there is a grant available from the DEP, and I have an email into them, they would fund up to 80%
Who would, I didn't hear?
With the DEP
DEP
could
would-
possibly
DEP.
fund up to 80%. What I'm looking for is survey and design
Yeah.
first, and then go back next year. The remaining 20%, the Lions have offered to participate and try to drum up other support to make up. They wouldn't cover the whole 20%. And Rick Dewey's been kind of helping me with that.
Would it,
But I'm not sure if it's gonna qualify under that program, because it's not necessarily like a nature trail.
but the
So-
kids, they've made a trail already behind the,
Well, we're talking from the high school to the middle school.
Yeah.
Where everybody walks in the
they
street
already
right
walk
now.
now,
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
right.
So,
That-
and
that
doing
just
the,
needs to be
and doing the
clear.
fitness stations, like we talked about when we had Mark Fenton, we did a presentation, we went up there, basically having 3 areas, at least 3 areas, where either there's a fitness area, or benches just to rest, and a water fountain, or what have you, but, 3 different areas going up.
And that's quite the hill.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and, that's one of the many plates on my table right now.
That's great,
Yeah.
that's great, well, I think if we can move along with both the solar and the architectural, we've done a good job, yeah. And I think we can.
All right, well, we've already moved on to new business, I think we're all set, right? We'll revisit this next meeting. I think the other issue under review and other is Reddington Rock.
Yes.
What was that?
Reddington Rock.
Oh, yeah.
We did have the zoning board of appeals, last Thursday,
Continued and then closed the public hearing regarding the club's appeal to my cease and desist order that I had issued them. And, after the hearing was closed, there had been a lot of discussions between myself and our town attorney and the club's attorney, to come to an agreement. And the agreement's what I passed out with the report, which will be signed off. The ZBA voted to uphold my order as modified by this agreement. This agreement, the nuts and bolts of it is they will be coming in for an annual permit. Number 2 says they have a vested right and they cannot be denied the right to use that as a camping area, which we never contested. I'm sorry, number 3 rather. It's in compliance with the local health authority. That's one change that we made that has to be written in. Permit has to be accompanied by a site plan, which I do have a site plan from them, which, it's not a high level of detail, but it's enough to have more clarification than before. A 10-foot buffer, vegetated buffer strip along Old Sodom Road, which is the east side, where the neighbors have been complaining, and where they're unable, there's some areas of ledge, where there's some area where there's unable to do plantings, they can do a solid fencing. They'll submit annually the list of motor vehicles. They'll allow inspections, annual inspections. Item 3F was the issue I mentioned at, I believe, the last meeting, is their camping season from when they started in 1971, which predated our regulations. Their camping season was slightly longer than what we allow in our regulations, but our regulations also allow you to stay up to 30 days outside of the season, so it's really a non-issue. And then they put it in this agreement, as well as modified their bylaws, that no member of the club shall be permitted to camp on the property for more than 2 consecutive 14-period days. So, right now, this is being just modified for the one modification, and make sure the commission is okay if we can have a vote to accept this modified agreement. Then, once I get the corrected version, have the chairman of both commissions sign, and that's gonna get recorded. And they're in the process of wrapping up outstanding items with the health department, and once that's done, they can come and get a special permit. Because I told them they couldn't come see us until they satisfied that.
Excellent job there, Dave.
So,
Excellent. That was a lot of work.
yes, it's a year, it's been exactly
A
a year.
year.
Did you need a motion tonight on that?
Yes.
For the, I can make the motion as it reads in the very first paragraph on the sheet. A modified ordering agreement is made with,
Yeah, motion to accept this modified.
right. You wanna take that?
Sure.
Do you want me to read it all the way through?
Yes, please.
Okay, I make a motion that we provide a modified ordering agreement as is made by and between the Reading Rock Riding Club Incorporated, the Standard Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Stafford Planning and Zoning Commission, as laid out in the modified ordering agreement.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, did you vote?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Motion carried unanimously.
I was sitting here thinking if I needed any RCs.
Any other new or other business?
I'd like to just ask a question. Last week, or 2 weeks ago rather, we had been given this information about the application proposed to increase the maximum floor area for retail from 40,000 square feet to 110,000 square feet. I mean, I just wanna know what you guys are thinking as far as,
We can't discuss it, we
Can't.
haven't opened a public hearing. Public hearing is June 9th, I believe.
Yeah,
It's been referred to CROG for comment, which is the regional planning.
okay, so I mean, my question really isn't what we're going to do about it. My question is, you know, really whether we have reason to like it or not like it, but I guess if we can't
No,
discuss it here, I think.
it was an application made by the EDC, just, you know, John Q. Public could walk in and submit the same application or a similar one. We schedule a public hearing, once that public hearing's open, then you can have your own opinions, you can talk all you want, but, it's kind of inappropriate to have any pre-discussion before we even open that public hearing.
But during the public hearing, our chairman does support questions from
Right. Right,
the alternates in the audience prior to any public
Right.
Yeah.
comment. So you certainly would be involved.
Well, I just want to know general thoughts. I can
Sure.
ask you after this, get your thoughts.
Okay.
Be careful about that.
Yeah, we don't discuss
Can't
it.
discuss commission, business.
But this was just
A public hearing, yeah.
a proposal, right? And it's not actually
No.
business yet, is it?
It was an
Yes,
application.
It's an it's a
yeah,
pending
It's
application.
a pending application, so.
yeah, we had to push the public hearing date out because CROG needs 30 days to review it. So that's why it got pushed out to June.
Any other new or other business?
Roger.
Necessary motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And that's the difference between coming for pre-discussion and then filing application.
Doug, did you sign this? That was for the- Last week.
Sign that.
Right.
It's soon as you can discuss it. Oh, whatever.
I have researched
Legal?
population.
Oh,
Population is
no, it should.
Oh, no, okay, all right, okay, as of tonight.
Yeah.
and we don't have it